Hey guys, and welcome to Gwent, the Witcher card game. My name is Jaggerous, and today I'm playing a fun Eredin Nova deck. And while this deck isn't necessarily the most competitive, it's a good fun deck to play. It's a bit different, and a lot of people don't really expect it, so people aren't very, well practiced against it. But this is an Eredin deck, so we're going to be running Eredin, which means we're going to be playing Frost, because we can use him to spawn either a Wild Hunt Rider, a Wild Hunt Navigator, or a Frost Hound. So we've got Eredin, and we've got 2 Riders, we've got 2 Wild Hunt Hounds, and we've got 2 Frost. Then on top of that, we're also running Imlerith just as general removal, and also something that you kind of force your opponents into removing. We have Caretaker, which allows us to resurrect one of their units, or Iris, if we've played Iris, because we're going to be trying to kill her with Frost. Then we have Nova as the Nova component of the deck. We have Frightener for card advantage, Osrol for removing cards from your opponent's graveyard, including things like Frightener, you can eat that. Then there's Roach for with our gold cards. We have Vader Maker, which gives us more removal, Alza's Thunder, plus more weather, because it has Frost and Fog. Then we have Iris, which, like I said, we can play and use the Frost to kill with the Frost Riders, the Wild Hunt Riders. That'll make Frost deal 3 damage, which means if you play Iris into Frost and she's the lowest unit, she'll just die instantly. And then we can resurrect her with Caretaker and do it again. And then we have Monster's Nest, which is kind of a flex card. It gives us access to Drowner and to Ghoul. And if we ever need carryover, then we have the option of Barbergazi, which is also quite nice. Or we can kind of maybe try and fluster our opponents with Rotfiend. So then we have the rest of our cards. We have 2 Drowners, we have 2 Werewolves, we have 2 Sirens, and we have 2 Moonlight, because this is like kind of weather package. The second weather package is this Werewolf Siren synergy with the Moonlight, and then we also have 2 Reconnaissance to help us try and thin our deck and make it more likely for us to draw Nova. Yeah, so that's the deck, and without further ado, I'm going to jump into our ranked game and I'll showcase this deck in action for you. And if you like the deck, don't forget to leave a like. Okay, so we're against Arrakis Queen, which is kind of awkward. We're going to throw the Frost Ciri. Definitely don't want those in our hand. And if I had Werewolves but no Sirens, I would throw them too. And if I have Moonlight, throw that. If you have Roach, throw that. We're going to just leave it here, I think. It's a pretty okay spot to leave it in. We're not in the greatest situation with this deck because of what our opponent is playing. But actually, it looks like it's going to be a Behemoth version. So potentially what we do here is we just play Sabbath and kill that. This is not a bad time to play the Sabbath. It also thins the Roach, which is pretty good. Usually we would want to play Weather, but as it is at the moment, we can start removing the Arrakis and then start to play Weather. Our opponent has chosen to pass, so that was the easiest first round of my life. And honestly, at this stage, we probably want to bleed him. We have plenty of engines. We have options for Frost. We have Siren. We have another Frost Hound and another Siren. This is actually pretty solid, to be honest. We could maybe mulligan, but I'm actually really happy with this hand. So we can play this and get the Moonlight on the go. And then if he does play another Behemoth, we can zap it with the Vader Maker. So that's kind of fine. And actually, he's got Frost himself. So I'm actually fine to let this die, I think. It's not ideal, but ultimately I've got a second one, so I don't really care. And honestly, we may need to clear weather, on a different row, depending on what he chooses to do and how much Frost this opponent's deck has. Clearly not your typical consume. But then we are, like I said, we're at 2k MMR, so all sorts of crazy things tends to happen. Okay, so now we're definitely going to clear the weather. So let's do that.
Come to me.
There we go. And now we have Drowners for pulling things into the front row, so depending on what he plays, we should be okay. Skellige Storm. So I'm honestly thinking we just pass here. He's got nothing on the board. I mean, we could also... What else do we play? I mean, I guess what we do here is we play Barbergazi, right? He's got nothing to boost, so eating this is totally fine. And then it gives us carryover as well. Shoop. Okay, it's a Shoop deck. So no more Frost is coming then. What does he have, though? Okay, that's fine. So now we're gonna just pull this into the Frost. We may as well make use of the Frost that we have rather than, creating more Frost. We can create more Frost. That is an option. As it is, I guess we're gonna just Frost the back row instead. So get the Navigator, Pull another Frost Hound. Frost on the back row. Because we can still pull things to the front row, we just can't target the Arrakis Queen. Which is kind of annoying. But as it is, we still have more weather.
How did that incantation go?
So let's just keep weathering this guy. Then I think we play Iris. Oh, that didn't really work out for him. So now let's play Iris into the Frost. She's not quite dead, but we can always drown her to kill her. So it should be okay. Oh, that's interesting. So I guess we'll play Caranthir and get Frost running on Nivellen as well. It looks like this is going to be a 2-0 at this rate. We're up 38 points. This is where we could pass. But I feel like bleeding our opponent is kind of fine. Although we are getting, you know, we're getting 4 points per turn. But then this is only, like, Drowner is worth playing this round, you know? It's not really worth playing next round. Caretaker. Iris. So that's going to be worth 25 points. I think we still play this. And then we can decide whether we can 2-0 or not. We're up 32. Oh, now we're only up 7. I mean, we're up. But we're also getting 3, 4, 5 per turn. But he's getting 2, so we're up 10. So honestly, I think this is fine.
You've talked enough.
I think we can just straight 2-0 here. I mean, it would be safer to pass. I think if you're unsure, it's much safer to choose to pass. But as it is, we were in a strong enough position that we could 2-0 him. And there you go. No victories for our opponent. Although they were playing a Shoop Monsters deck, which I think is tricky. I have done it before, but it is definitely a tricky deck to play. Whereas our deck, I think, was a little bit more consistent than their deck, at least. But like I say, we're at low MMR, so you get all sorts. Anyway, let's jump into another game, and I'll showcase this deck once more for you guys.
Men of Kedwen, attack!
You shall die, worm.
Okay, so we're against Hensel, and with the mulligan, we want to get rid of Frost, then we want to get rid of Moonlight, and Moonlight. We do risk pulling Roach, but fortunately didn't draw it, so that was pretty solid. We have, I would say, a reasonably good hand here. We have a Frost Hound, which means we have stuff with Eredin. We have Moonlight, which we can use as an opener. We have Frightener, we have Imlerith, you know, there's options. So
You wouldn't want to hurt us.
let's open with Moonlight. This is our kind of best opener. Sometimes it's a bit awkward if you don't have something that you can use instead. You kind of have to deal with this. So let's play Imlerith now and just kill his Kidweni and get that on the board as well. Imlerith is just really good if they can't remove it because it gives them kind of trouble. So I guess we just play the Frost Hound now. It also thins Frost from the deck, which makes us more likely to draw into Nova. So thinning the deck is pretty good here. And then we do have Drowner to pull things into Frost. And he's opted for the pass, which is really unsurprising here. We do have Frightener, which means we can actually afford to push him this round if we want in the next round and kind of try and drain his units. And it's not necessarily a bad idea. It gives us more of a flavor also for his strategy, which I think is quite good. We don't want Moonlight in hand, so we're going to throw that one. We got a Werewolf. So, Recon, we could get a Rider, we could get a Drowner, we could get a Werewolf, we could get a Siren. You know, there's lots of things we could get. It's kind of a risky one. I mean, alternatively, I think we just play the Wild Hunt Rider. Play it on the back row, because we can always Caranthir things onto the back row, so we're going to guarantee that's row anyway. That's interesting. So he wants to basically utilize this with the Frost. But then if he plays something smaller, it should be fine. We can zap this, but then it's gonna still be okay. We maybe want to play the Recon and see what we get. This is a tricky call. Or what we could do, actually, is play Caretaker and do this. I don't hate this as a strategy. See, because now this is the smallest unit on the row, right? So now frosting the row is fine. So let's use the Vader Maker for Frost. I maybe should have saved this and used it for a zap because I have Frost and Caranthir. But ideally, you know, I want to set up my own situation with Caranthir, so this is kind of fun. Okay, so let's go front row. Let's do this. And just get more frost on the go. I mean, he does have points per turn, but so do we. So it's kind of fine.
Stand and fight.
That is a little bit irritating, but not necessarily the end of the world. So now I think we can get away with playing the recon. So if we get a second rider, that's quite good. But I think moonlight is pretty solid as well. So let's play the moonlight.
You wouldn't want to hurt us,
And just
would you?
basically utilize these engines that we have access to. The problem here is that we could pull a Wild Hunt Hound and thin the frost, but if we do that, then life is a little bit awkward. This guy's not a problem because I can pull this guy to the front row. And also, actually, because I have a werewolf, moonlight was definitely the right choice here. And we also have this guy giving us points per turn as well.
For the king!
That's kind of annoying. So I guess we play this into the moonlight now. And then we still want to play the Frightener this round in order to get ahead. Although it looks like we can play Iris as well. I mean, it's a bit risky because then what are we going to play last round? Because we don't have Nova.
Long live the king!
That is the thing. So I definitely think we play this into the frost now.
I am sadness.
And then on the next round we can use the Frightener to pull the 8 into the frost.
You one of us or not?
Because I don't want this guy to get hit, right? But what I can do is this. That guy's worth 14.
Troops, here now!
I mean, Eredin isn't inherently a bad play here either. Eredin is still worth 15. He's still a decent play. It depends if he can overcome me with this play or not, really.
You one of us or not?
And he hasn't managed to. So this is, I think, where we pass, because then we get card advantage. If we play Eredin, we can pull a rider, actually, from the deck. So maybe we do want to try and just force him and then go to top decks. It's quite risky, though. I don't hate it, actually. Because it also thins the deck. So if we take this guy, it means we're more likely to draw Nova. Pull this guy. Doesn't really matter what row we put him in. Actually, we probably should have put him on the back row. Now that I think about it.
Waiting your orders.
Hey. And as it is, that was the right call. We are just 2-0ing today. That was... I don't even know if I was going to top deck Ciri there or not. But that's the deck. Like I say, in a long round, it's quite good. And Imlerith can kind of give you the options for a... Imlerith gives you the options for a short round because people often see him and then pass, and then you get control, so then you get the long round, which is quite nice. You get the, you know, the weather round, so the moonlight and the frost, which we saw there was really effective. And even though we played our spy on that round, we still managed to win, which was pretty insane. And we had the option of going into the final round a card up, and our card up would have been Eredin, and that would have been probably safer to pass there too, but, you know, sometimes it's just impressive to go 2-0, and maybe I'm showing off a little bit here, but there we go. Anyway, guys, I guess that's more or less it for today's video. If you enjoyed the video, maybe leave a like. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the deck and what kind of changes you would make, or if there's any decks you'd like to see me play, let me know in the comments below. Beyond that, have an awesome day. Thank you so much for watching. You can find me on Twitter at Jaggerous. You can follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Jaggerous. Hopefully, I will see you in the next video.